because the materials that are strewn before the typical seeker are confusing. One path tells you you're a sinner. Another path tells there's no such thing. One path tells you to breathe this way with this posture. Another says pray in this form. One path says the end is near. Another says we're just born in the Spirit of God. It's a time of new beginnings. So can all of these things be true at the same time? It becomes equally confusing as you enter the scientific domain. Not too long ago there was magic and wonder in the world, and then Newton and others came along, and the mechanistic universe was unveiled, and magic left our culture and stood on the fringes like an orphan. And now like the prodigal son, magic has returned in the form of quantum physics. On the one hand, religion defined magic in the formulations of its leaders so as to manipulate the masses. On the other hand, science, eschewing magic, distilled our universe to the nuts and bolts of a mechanism in which our specialness as a species was just sort of like taken out of the equation. For example, we're 99% the same as an ape. We're not the center of the universe, and so forth. All of these theses or points of view, world views, influenced, and they became larger, and we became smaller, less significant. In a sense, the quantum world came to our rescue as we became aware of just how little we knew about the universe. This was an activation for the species as a whole that most people do not truly understand, because humanity was beaten down with a mechanical, uncaring universe and an invisible God. But then we discovered how we are all connected. The basic mechanics were anything but mechanical. They were magical, indeed inexplicable. But that is the world of subatomic energies, the frequencies of light and sound in which we live. I realize I got off track a bit, but the impression I want to leave is that I have great sympathy for the seeker and their confusion. It's well found.
Yeah. So what should people do in the midst of their confusion? I mean, what should they do to get clear?
The best place to start when trying to begin again is to simplify. This is a literate world where words rule the mind. The spirit behind the words is key. It is more important than the words. Most seekers draw confusion to themselves because they compare the words written or spoken by spiritual teachers, or worse yet, they compare the interpretations of the words from spiritual teachers. Language was invented to facilitate trade and barter, commerce, and later culture. Language of our world is a third-dimensional construct that is misleading and imperfect. So with words, be careful. I'll give you an example. I can tell you the core truth in as little as 2 sentences. Here it goes. Just as the sun is the presence of God in our collective universe, you are the presence of God in your local universe. You are a light being in a universe of equal beings, and each one is just as essential to the whole. So, you see, in these 2 sentences, I have told you the seeds of truth from which all other wisdom arises. There is nothing to be confused about in this truth, unless, of course, you fall back on your historical knowledge. So if you are confused, you must bear some responsibility for your confusion as it comes to you out of comparison. Take the first sentence. Just like the sun is the presence of God in our collective universe. What does it mean? The sun and God are one and the same? Well, for many this would be heresy. In some periods of our history you would have been killed for saying this, and yet it's the truth, though it's more complex than simply saying the sun and God are identical, so the words themselves begin to confound truth. So to simplify your own truth, you need to have a framework from which your beliefs arise. The framework of Lyricus is to live a love-centered life by expressing the 6 art virtues to all within your local universe. As you do this, you become a conductor of your emotional system, and you become the presence of God in your world. It's a very simple framework, and one that springs forth from the most ancient of worlds, yet there's really been no evolution provided to it. It's not undergone interpretations. It has not been embroidered by any religious institution. It is not owned by anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this might be a good time to ask a very frequent question about Lyricus.
Very well. But let me add something to your last question first. The world is not without paradox and complexity. It has plenty of both. The seeker in today's world is being overwhelmed by many, many stressors. The economy, their job, their family, their relationships, even their roles as mother, father, daughter, son, or husband or wife. These stressors inhabit the body, and the nervous system is aroused by them, and not in a good way. The nervous system and endocrine systems, coupled to the heart, produce the network connection to the higher frequencies. In other words, they are your internal network, and connection to the external network, the organizing fields of spirit intelligence. If you have too much noise in your body and emotional system, and by noise I mean stress that is built up and is endangering the sensitivity of your connection, remember that the practice of the 6 art virtues is a method to release this noise or stress. There are many, many techniques that will help, even technologies, and it's important that the individual discover what works for them. Doc Childre, the founder of Heart Math, is the preeminent teacher on the subject, and one I recommend without hesitation. Seekers are often in search of the escalating complexity because the esoteric is seductive. If I see someone who is practicing the 6 heart virtues to the best of their ability, they are, in my view, a greater master on earth than the one who quotes the highest formulations of spirit, or speaks the elegance of Jesus or Muhammad or Krishna or Buddha, or practices meditation every day, but then radiates discordant behaviors or thoughts. The universe has an incentive system. It's called evolution, and so we understandably look at those things that have evolved into sophisticated techniques or organizations, and we imbue them with greater importance than those things that have not evolved and are simple, even innocent in comparison. But the 6 heart virtues in living a love-centered life, while disconnected from the evolutionary track of spiritual knowledge, are paradoxically among the most potent forms of truth for this particular time in humanity's evolution.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I get letters from people who acquaint me with some of the more esoteric writings out there, like the Arancha book or Keys of Enoch, some of the Alice Bailey stuff, and at least those are a couple examples that come to mind. And they have some really great insights in them, but they also leave me feeling a bit uncertain what to do next. With the knowledge itself. What do you see as the key thing a seeker new to these materials can do to gain a sense of conviction, I guess I'll call it that they're on the right path?
Yes, well, the word religion is derived from the Latin word